yeah, Sa Ra Garvey, you have a massive impact on my life even now until when I was even young, because I used to watch you at on Family Affairs when you
Oh
were
wow.
an actor. Yep,
When
Stephen
I was
Burrow
acting.
when I was 10 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
Bro,
So
true
yeah,
fam.
That's
yeah.
crazy. But thank you, bro.
So and I've also seen you at Speaker's Corner as well, but I don't go there anymore.
Hmm.
But anyway, getting on topic. What is the question really? Like, is there a racism problem? That's what I
Yeah.
gather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a racism problem
If I would
globally?
say in the world, yes,
Hmm.
100%. I feel there's still a racism problem. Um, in this country, I don't think there is, but there is still problems to do with racism here. But globally, I still think there is a problem,
Right.
right? Um,
Why do you think that is? Why do you think there is a racism problem? Where does it stem from?
I think it stems from first ignorance, certain
Hmm.
stereotypes that's perpetuated by us, well, from us or by us, from the media, and basically, how um, the history of how Black people were basically treated in history, with the colonization and so on and so forth, right? I think there's a racism problem.
Mm.
I only could really think, in my opinion, there's only a few handful of countries where I could say, hey, look, like for example, I had a friend of mine who wanted to go traveling, right? And I basically explained to him, look, there's certain countries that I don't feel comfortable going to, but as he's a white friend of mine, he feels completely comfortable. But I need to explain to him, look, I'm a black guy, right? And there's certain places I can't go because of how certain countries treat people of my skin color, right? Um, I also feel as if, if you look at other continents, how Black people are depicted, just look at like sometimes the Middle East, you know, big area
Mm.
there, some parts of Asia as well, like China, various places like that. Like we are depicted in a bad way. Even some religions. Well, one particular religion, which I'm not going to say, but you know, you've got to look and you got to look at it and you think, yeah, there is still a problem. Like some of us, like this is why I say, right, what happened in America at Buffalo, I actually saw the recording and it generally saddened me and I was caught off guard. I didn't really want to see it, but because someone sent it to me on WhatsApp and obviously there's no description or no title, I just watched it. And
Right.
what really saddened me was when a black woman that elderly black woman just going about her day, getting shot down and she's just grasping for breath and she gets shot again. Like that type of stuff really bothered, like it really, really bothered me. And this is why, in a way, I'm kind of grateful that I live in Great Britain. I live here because we don't have to deal with things like that. But I understand that, yeah, there is some racism in this country, right? But I don't think it's as bad as other parts of the world. That's why I say there's still a problem with racism in this world.
What we're gonna do later on, actually, because the show's kind of structured, we're actually gonna get into what racism is like outside of the Western world, and whether the racism within the Western world is the same as the racism that is actually outside of the Western world towards Black people. So, listen, Jesse, man, thank you for calling in, bro. Like, you just kind of you took me aback with that whole going back to the whole family affairs thing and acting and blah blah blah. But yeah, thank you very much for calling in, brother. We're gonna get some more people in, and we're gonna continue on with the show.
Okay.
Even call in later, Jess, as
Some
well.
final words before I go. Just
Yeah,
give a
yeah,
couple.
yeah. Give me your final
Please
thoughts.
do.
Yeah, I appreciate this platform. I was reluctant to show my face, but I say sod it. Like this is very important to me. And I also want to make I also do have my own platform as well, which helps like people who come from fatherless homes and like solutions and videos in terms of what they can do. And this isn't
Nice.
just for Black people; it's for people everywhere. Because I think this is another problem with racism is that because we don't have fathers, a lot of fathers, especially in the Black community, but it's also other communities as well. We don't have fathers around, and we don't know
Mm,
how to navigate and deal with racism properly. And
mm,
that's why I say, look, I created this platform, it's and just to say, and I'm a guy who's fatherless myself. Like my father passed away when I was 30 and 20,
Sure.
and I had to learn I literally had to learn to be a man myself. You see, so that's what I say. And my life is wonderful now. Like I love life now. Like I don't see any
That's
problems in
good,
my
brother.
life. But I'm gone now. I finished talking.
Thank you very much, Jesse.
Jesse, before you go, plug your channel.
My channel is called OGM Fatherless. I'm also on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter as well, and I'm on YouTube. It's just basically videos about what men can do, and some females as well. It's not just for boys and male and females, but it's for both genders, and to see what they can do to basically alleviate the effects of not having a father in the home.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah, I have experience in that field as well, because I was a youth worker as well, so I know what it's like. But I don't want to babble on. I want other people to talk as well.
Yeah, we got a couple other callers. Thank you, Jesse, man.
Thank you, Jesse. Salute to you, bro.
Hello. This is where justice lives, and this is where racism ends. I picked the wrong city. The 18-year-old suspect, Peyton Gendron, had driven more than 200 miles to launch the atrocity, deliberately targeting a neighborhood that he knew to be predominantly African American. He has already appeared in court, subdued, wearing a mask, and in jail-issued paper clothing. He pleaded not guilty to charges of first-degree murder.
Possible active shooter at the top. There are still shots being fired.
The attack was aimed at this supermarket, police reacting within moments.
3 down inside so far, 2 outside, radio.
The gunman shooting victims both outside the front doors and then stalking the aisles for additional victims.
We're going to need some officers inside the top because we have numerous bodies.
Police have described it as a scene out of a horror movie.
He was very heavily armed. He had tactical gear. He had a tactical helmet on. He had a camera that he was live streaming what he was doing. Walked into the store and began engaging customers.
The president has also today expressed his horror at the events in Buffalo.
We must all work together to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of America. The hearts are heavy once again, but a resolve must never ever waver.
Gendron's motives are known because he listed them in extraordinary detail in a hate-filled manifesto. He also live-streamed the attack on Twitch, a video-sharing platform.
I feel like racism doesn't limit itself to America or Europe, the Middle East. Racism, I think, is a global problem.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why, on the Black Opinion, we don't necessarily always talk about racism, but when it does rear its ugly head, I think it's time to talk about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that boy, I say boy, is he a man?
Devil.
All right, devil.
Demon.
He drove 200 miles. 200 miles to go
You're
and
not
do
much
this.
of a boy when you drive 200 miles.
Yeah, he drove 200 miles to do this.
Even more premeditated.
Yeah.
Damn. I can't help but to think this. I think law enforcement are working with these guys, man.
Really?
How is it you're taking him in unharmed? Tamir Rice is playing with a toy gun. Police show up, shoot him as soon as they jump out of the car. This guy shoots unarmed black people and police take him in unharmed.
Hang on a minute. Roxy, do you think, you sort of don't just said, do you think law enforcement are working with, do you think that's a bit outlandish? Law enforcement are working with these people? Hang on, let Roxy say something. Go on.
It's just the injustice of it for me. You know, like, maybe they're not necessarily, he didn't necessarily pen the manifesto with a Fed by his side, but it's the fact that he's turned up, he's committed this crime, and what, they've just gone in there, hands behind his back, into the car, off for questioning. If that was a black guy, there would be no questions. He would have been laid out.
But would he? Would he?
Yeah.
We've seen evidences of it in other cases. Innocent black people sitting in their car. What was it? Was it 59 shots?
No, it's more. It was 136.
136 shots into a car, where a black man was just in the car.
It was 2, black man and a black woman.
And a black woman.
What story? What happened?
It's on Netflix.
So
you think, that honestly, you think that law enforcement, are, let's say, biased towards shooting black people than they are white people.
Yes, because you got to look at the evidence. You got Dylan Roof, he did the same thing.
We're going to get into that a little bit later.
Okay, cool. But these guys that do these types of acts, they always follow a pattern. They get taken in, they get given McDonald's or Burger King or whatever it is. They don't get harmed. You know this person is a threat to society, but you take them in unharmed. A black man walks down the street with his headphones in, just crossing the road and gets shot however many times for crossing the street. Tamir Rice is playing with a toy gun. He gets shot, a little youth, just for playing with a toy gun. So the police know who's a threat and who's not. But when you come up to someone like this, for some reason, he goes in unharmed. Not having it.
I have a theory that historical reference with a family narrative to it leads to a subconscious understanding to the criminal or victim, depending on what side you sit on. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, I'm not going to say a doink is wrong, but what I'm going to say is that sometimes you walk in there and you go, those police officers walk in there and go, my son might have made a stupid mistake like this. And that's all he sees it as.
Right.
My son could have made a stupid mistake like this. Let me check out everything first, see what he's about, because he looks like my little nephew, Danny.
Absolutely.
He looks like Tommy. Yeah, he looks like my brother's son. Yeah. And when it's us, you don't relate when you see a 6-foot black man with a gun. You don't even care about what the situation is, whether he's a person who's trying to save people in there from a shooter. They will just take him out. And I wouldn't say every time, but I'll put my money on it.
All right, so you see what I don't want to do, yeah? I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, yeah?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to get into facts.
Yep.
Yeah? So, Adoink, if you play the video of myself and Tommy Robinson, we'll get into some facts and let's see some stuff. Specifically, in 2006, the FBI done a 9-page report. If you want to look at it, if anyone else wants to look at it, it's on documentcloud.org.
About white supremacists.
They have investigated that there are white supremacist neo-Nazi gangs infiltrating the police forces of America. Okay, that's the FBI. But if we go back, black people have known that there have been white supremacists within the police force of America for a long time. If we go back to 1988, right? NWA, which is a rap group, made a song called Fuck the Police. Why did they make that? They were speaking about the police brutality within their song. If we go to 1991, we find the LAPD and the CCTV, the video footage that surfaced of them beating Rodney King to within an inch of his life. Okay, if we go to 1992, Ice-T made a song called Cop Killer. Okay, black people for a long time in America have known that there have been racist elements within the police force. So, the FBI have already got a 9-page report on the fact that, this is going back to 2009, going back to that and saying that there are racist elements, white neo-Nazi gangs infiltrating the police forces of America. That's the FBI investigating. So when people are saying, oh, you guys are talking some conspiracy stuff, the police ain't, I'm just saying, I don't like to get into the emotional argument. I like to say, listen, the FBI have already investigated it, right? The FBI is saying that there are racist elements in the police force. This is what we know. Now, do we know the percentage of police force that have been infiltrated by neo-Nazi gangs? No, we don't. But we do know that they have investigated it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But this FBI.
The FBI, the FBI.
Yeah, no, but I was just...
You saw it. Trust that.
I'll say this. When you are investigating, you can either say, if it's a conspiracy, if it's like a top-down conspiracy, right? Normally, the top people will investigate the bottom, right? But the bottom people can't investigate the top because the top are too, you know what I mean? They're too,
they run things.
They're hands off. But the top people, are investigating the bottom people. saying, hang on a minute, something's not right here. Like, let's investigate. So I'm not saying the FBI are right or wrong. All I'm saying is the FBI have investigated it. And they've been looking at the fact that there are neo-Nazi and white supremacist gangs infiltrating the police forces of America.
And then
you can believe it or not believe it.
What I'm saying is they've investigated it, and then what?
Yeah, but
nothing's changed.
Yeah, but I don't need the FBI. It's a great statistic you brought up, yeah. But I don't need the FBI to tell me what I know.
Yeah.
Through living day-to-day life.
Now, sorry to cut you. I was with Big Bro the other day.
Yeah.
Right? And Big Bro done a talk and he was talking about the Brixton riots. Now, Big Bro, big up Big Bro. If you're watching Big Bro, big yourself up, right?
Big up Big Bro.
And he done a talk and he was talking about the racism in the 80s in Great Britain.
Yeah.
Right? That led to the Brixton riots. And he was talking about some of his own stories growing up in the 80s, as a black man. Big Bro's like 6'5", big guy. Do you know what I mean? But Big Bro he's a businessman. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not a criminal. He's not any of that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like him as a black man growing up in the 80s, right? I remember when I'd done the interview with Lee Jasper, a doink, you filmed it, right? And he was saying that in the 80s, the police in the UK used to flash their NF badges at you, before they arrest you to let you know what time it was, They used to flash their NF badges. So the UK is not devoid of this type of racism. The only thing when it comes to the UK is that they don't have guns. I'm going to ask a question. What is the reason for racism? What do you think the reason for racism is?
This show is popping today, mate.
On to Roxy.
Roxy, what do you think the reason for racism is?
That is a powerful question.
Big, yeah.
It's hard to get into that mindset even. I'd say it's been created out of fear.
Fear of what?
Fear of
being
different, he said to the word out.
Yeah, sorry.
Being different, being extinct.
Yeah.
A fear of, often, I've seen a couple of videos online, for example, of clear white supremacists having a conversation with a South American or Latino interviewer. And he's saying things like, if we don't do what we do, who's going to protect us? Because they will eradicate us.
Listen, Roxy, just segue me. I always say segue or segue. Segue me into the thing. Listen, I don't. Can we bring up the birth death number one, please? Right? I don't know if you have heard of the birth death, right? So the birth death, it was said, what happens when people in free countries don't have enough babies? Now, this book, was written by Ben Wattenberg, Give me the birth death too. So I'm going to give you a little bit more explanation of what the birth death is, right? So the birth death is a neologism referring to falling fertility rates. In the late 1980s, the term was used in context of American and European society. The use of the term has since been expanded to include many other industrialized nations. It is often cited as a response to overpopulation, but is not incompatible with it. The term was coined by Ben Wattenberg in his 1987 book by the same name. Countries and geographic regions that are currently experiencing falling population include Russia, Europe, Japan, and populations of people of these descendants in other countries, such as the United States. Now, the reason why I spoke about the birth death, the reason why I brought it up, I think when you get to, when you listen to people who are quote unquote white supremacists, one of the main things you hear from their mouth is these people are breeding and they're going to breed us out. And oh my God, they're going to take over, right? So that's why the birth death is relevant, because Francis Cress Welsing says that one of the major reasons for racism is the fear of genetic annihilation.
Mm.
The fear of genetic annihilation. When you read the manifesto by the shooter in Buffalo, he speaks about it. When you read the manifestos of these white supremacists, you realize this is what is very interesting, right? Sorry, let me just go to population control on that slide, please, Adonik, right? Because this is what I want to talk about, right? Population growth rate in Europe, 1950 to 2022, right? The population of Europe was estimated to have increased by approximately 0.4% in 2020, reaching an overall total of approximately 747 million people. Since 1950, Europe's population growth rate has never exceeded 1% and was even declining between 1996 and 1999. Right. Population growth within Europe, at certain places is at -%.
Yeah.
People of color in the world don't have a problem procreating. They don't, right? So I think one of the main reasons for quote unquote racism, and that's why I think these killings and stuff, I think it's going to get worse in my personal point of view, because what's going to happen is more and more people that aren't white are going to quote unquote encroach upon white borders.
Yeah.
Right? Because the population of the earth is growing. And I'm going to tell this to white people who are white people watching. If there's any racists or white supremacists watching, your problem is not people of color. Your problem is the fact that you're not having enough babies. That's the problem. Their problem is they're not having enough children. And so they feel encroached upon by other peoples. And when you feel encroached upon by other peoples, you react. Listen, we're 4 of us in this house. If we felt like there was 1,000 people coming to the door, we're going to react, right? Whether they have a ill intention for us or not, we're going to react.
Right. I have a kind of strange outlook on it.
Go on.
Like, I don't think you were ever the majority numbers. And this is all due respect to our white audience. This ain't got nothing to do with hate. I don't even deal in hate day to day. It's a pointless endeavor. Like, listen, there is the Adam and Eve story. Believe it if you want to believe it. Believe how man or the origins of man, whatever story you want to believe in, yeah? But, maths. If you understand how many black people or people of color there are on this planet, yeah? Honestly, like, white folks, please relax. Like,
white people,
relax, just relax.
White people
your numbers were never that big.
They make up 9% of the global population.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Chill. That's why I want them. Like, it's almost like I want to say to our white human family, like, just get some therapy. It ain't that deep. Yeah. Most people admire you. Most people want to be you. Yeah. Most people emulate you. Yeah. There's no need to be so paranoid. And this isn't all white people, because I got a bunch of good white people that I've grown up with, bro. Like, real ride or dice. Yeah. And they've never had this issue with me. We've just been friends. Yeah. But there are a lot of people sit in their little areas in, like Buckinghamshire and all these other areas, and they sit in their little areas and they don't really experience the rest of the world. So they don't really get to see that wherever you go around the world, it's going to be people of color, bro. So you need to, do you know what it is? You need to almost stop separating yourselves.
I tell you what it is.
That everywhere else is the people of color, and you're like a white person. Because when you say that term, people of color, the only other group there are white people.
Yeah.
So you're almost putting pressure on yourselves, because that's what I'm trying to tell you. The majority of people in the world didn't believe in Cerberus to begin with, bro. They all had spiritual systems of nature, some type of deities, and they have female deities, male deities. It doesn't matter where you go, bro. And even when you go back to white people themselves, and you start finding out that there's the Valkyries, when it comes to Thor and Odin. You got women that were deified in a certain way as warriors.
Yeah.
And this is what you lot got paranoid at one period of time. And was just like, oh my God, they're trying to get us, they're trying to exterminate. I'm saying you never had those numbers. Stop panicking. Chill, fam. It's not that deep. Like, no one's trying to get you. There's not been in history. There ain't been Chinese people that have been like, we need to hang them. Let's put on hoods and
take out the white people.
Take out the white people. No, everyone likes you guys.